There is long-term relationships, casual dating, flings, and there is travelers flings. That is a whole category of itself. If you're a traveler, this one is gonna hit home. And it hits home for me. I've been traveling from country to country since 2018. And I know a lot of people talked about this relationship from different angles, like the narcissism angle. But add to that, Emily being a traveler and Ross being a local. Now let's talk about this angle and how that context can affect a relationship and the attitude of people in general. And if you're planning to travel to a different country, you're gonna need to listen to this to save yourself from a heartbreak. So Emily was very criticized in the first scene and portrayed as like being an evil witch. For travelers, this scene was like another duh, of course she's acting this way. But let me simplify it or paint it in a different way for people who haven't traveled abroad or took a plane from a country to another. So let's say you take a long ride, a long bus ride, 6 hours uphill, thousands of feet above sea level. You're sitting on your seat for that long, or maybe you stop every couple hours to stretch your legs, you get your meal, but the air is getting thinner and thinner by feet. Your ears start to feel like clogged because of the pressure, because of air pressure, and the weather is shit. It's raining like crazy. But you say to yourself, it's okay, the ride is gonna end soon, and then I'm gonna go and arrive to my destination, but I know that someone is there because we planned for that someone to be there to take me and guide me and take care of me. Once I reach there, I'm gonna just like sigh and relax. So you arrive there after this long, uncomfortable ride, and you meet the person, and the first thing they say is, well, turns out I'm not free tonight. I mean, whatever reaction you're thinking is probably reasonable. Rachel was not considerate about her guest at all. And not to mention, she basically manipulated Ross into taking care of Emily. But moving on. When you have just a few days in a city or a country, usually what travelers do is that they don't rest. They want to see everything because they rest at home. They're here to see the city. They didn't travel from a country to another to stay in a hotel room. They could do that in their place, right? And this might seem irrelevant to what we're trying to say, but believe me, this is the theme of the relationship between Ross and Emily. So what would travelers often do is that they wake up and they look at the tourist attractions on Google Maps. That if they haven't even already booked tours, but they wake up, go and have some local food for breakfast outside, go on tours or go see the tourist attractions, and they only come back to their hotel room or hostel, depending on which type of traveler you are, to sleep. And that's it. So you're excited about everything, local food, the local language, traditions, sightseeing, nightlife, or even the little things like deer eating fruit out of the orchard. So you're excited, you're being your fun self, you have this, you're not bringing your serious self here. The serious self is for work back home. The calm, introverted self, or the one that needs a break, needs a breather, is back home. You're here for a few days, you're gonna see everything, and you're gonna be excited about everything, you're gonna be adventurous, you're gonna try everything new. Whether you would do it back home or not, you would go crazy, you know? That's what traveling is about, you know? People go outside of their comfort zone to try new things. And you know what is one of the new things that people try? The local dating scene. Believe it or not, but I've seen this many times. There are tons of people, which is not great, honestly. I don't agree with it very much, but there are tons of people who they would have their life at home and they would go to a different country and then they'd be like, there's no rules here. I'm gonna be a completely different person. Some people even make up names. And it's a fun thing. They don't consider it a serious thing. They'll be like, I'm just gonna try to be a different person here for fun. I don't judge them. It's just not my thing, but I truly, truly don't judge them. A lot of people do that. And it's like a collective silent agreement between travelers, I would say. Also, the flings and the situationships is another silent agreement between travelers. As in, when a traveler dates a traveler, especially if they've been traveling like long term for years, they kind of have this silent agreement like, we're gonna go on a few dates, we're gonna go to this waterfall or this museum or whatever, and we may have sex, we may take things to a different level, but that's it. They don't even have to break up or anything, which is kind of sad, but this is just how it is, because with long-term travelers, they just move from a country to another. It's just the way it is, But when a traveler dates a local, usually only the traveler knows that it's just a fling, which is probably why Emily didn't tell him about Colin until he started to take things seriously, So let's talk about the traveler's flings for a second. So what happens is that you meet somebody in your hotel or hostel, or you meet somebody on a tour that you planned or whatever, right? Drum circle, whatever. So the first question that people ask is, when are you leaving? And then they start to do like math in their head. They be like, okay, I'm leaving in 4 days. They're leaving in 5. We could probably make the best out of that. So you wake up, instead of going for breakfast by yourself, you go to breakfast with that person. You go sightseeing together. You be travelers together. You do everything that I just mentioned together. You want to wait until the third date to kiss, but you're leaving in 3 days or 4 days, so what the heck? You kiss on the first date. And what date? You don't even have time to go to a fancy restaurant and take things slow and blah, blah, blah. Your sightseeing are your dates. You're exploring new things together, you're trying local food, you're being adventurous together. And you're doing things that you wouldn't normally do back home together. So what happens is that the mind tricks you sometimes, is like, oh, I'm being that much fun with them. So the mind starts to register them with fun. This is a part series, so make sure to subscribe to get the new episodes.